but just even a kind of a straw poll RFP thing, should this go out, see if there's any interest in, and send, give us what you'd like to do with it. And then let that committee look at all those various proposals.
Okay, so I guess, is the fact that it's privately owned, though, is that feasible to put out
I don't know. I guess that's something we'd have
a
to
request?
figure, yeah.
So we should probably think about that for the next,
Like I said, it can't be binding because we don't own anything yet. We haven't moved it yet, but, so it's kind of like an opinion kind of thing,
I think that's where, would that be where your committee comes in, Tom?
Well, to ask a committee to decide on best use is, and I think you saw that with the government study committee. You had, the Granite Ave committee. You have 15 people and they've got 15 different ideas, and all you do is wind up, and you don't know if any of them are ideas that are even feasible, because in order to be feasible, somebody's got to be willing to do it. So that's all I'm saying is.
so you're saying rather than just, as we have the committee explore options, to try to
reach out to the
do
public
more and try to invite.
What would you do with it? And let the committee look at it and at all those and say, yeah, these are the one or two that we thought were the best.
All right, so why don't we give that some more thought? We can take some time over the next week, see if we want to discuss number of members who would be on the committee, and the charge to the committee, and we can bring this back. This is just a starting point, so. Okay. And I also have a draft memo to the town meeting members to go with the articles, so we could maybe all just give any comments on that in the next couple of days. We'll get those out.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you a copy, Henry. The idea would be to get those out after the water and sewer consultant signs off on the drafts of the articles.
Okay.
And in it, we'd be pointing out to town meeting members that a couple of these articles, and I think, Tom, mainly the one that comes to mind is your article about the debt exclusion.
Yep.
That's still subject to some further
Right.
review with Lisa Dickinson and others. So
Yes.
that one might be changing. So at least the memo would call that out to town meeting members.
Yes.
Since we're submitting to them the articles this early in the year to
Right.
take a look at, we just want to let them know there could be some changes.
Changes to that one, yeah. Speaking of which, could you reach out to Lisa? I have not heard from her, so she was
Sure.
trying to get a meeting together.
All right, so we have a proposed motion to approve the order of the articles. Do you want to vote that tonight, or in light of your comment, did you want to give it any further thought?
I mean, if you two agree on those as the ordering, that's fine. The only change I would have had, like I said, and it's probably more important if we do have a contingent, non-contingent, for them all to be together, because you kind of want to know, what you're dealing with as you go through the rest of the warrant. I mean, that's always been what we've done, but.
I think we've sometimes had other articles and dispersed, but then again, the order can always be changed at town meeting.
Sure, yeah. But short of that, no, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
All right, we have a draft motion that Mrs. Rizzi wrote for us.
Right here.
If you
I'll make a
want to.
motion to approve the order of the 2015 annual town meeting articles.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did anyone have anything else on any other articles?
I think so.
All right, we put the FY16 budget on the agenda, but I think we're better off deferring this really until the next meeting. The town administrator and I did meet with the warrant committee chair and with Mr. Pavlicek and a few other people, the school committee chair, just to talk and get a sense of where the warrant committee is at on the budget. And the numbers, we have a fair amount of free cash this year.
Right.
And, but aside from that, the budget is.
The only thing I wanted to make, and I think it's important to make it now, and not to have a detailed discussion about the budget at all, but clearly everybody knows it's going to be a difficult year, and we're struggling with how to do it. We do have a fair amount of free cash, which is one-time money, and there's a great temptation to use that. And there may be many proposals out there to use that to get through this year, quote unquote. So to use it for operations, and I am totally opposed to using one-time money for operations, in my mind, it's just going to exacerbate the problem in 2017. Because not only do you have to make up that money, you also have to make up whatever increases are going to be. And you could well wind up with a, if that is the year you decide you need
Massive
a
override.
contingent budget, it could be massive, and
it could fail.
it could fail.
But,
So if you're going to wait till 17, filling it with one-time money isn't the way to do it.
So, Tom, is your suggestion to use this for anything other than the operating budget and go for an override this year?
We have so many needs for the one-time money. That's another thing. If you use it for the operating budget, then it's never going to be there for those, capital needs, those other really important one-time needs that money really should be used for. You've used it to plug a hole. Well, in 17, because the revenue projections that we're using have been greatly increased, in all likelihood, especially in a tight budget year, we're not going to wind up in 17 with the kind of free cash we're looking at this year.
Would you not take a risk in using it this year to plug that hole and risk getting more money from the state next year?
from the state?
From the state?
If you look at the track record, we do have a new administration, but I wouldn't want to bank my life on that. And it just is such a dangerous road to go down, I believe.
Yeah. Well,
It is a risk, no doubt, but
no, we don't want to use one-time money for recurring operating expenses. The town has done that at times in the past, but it's not preferable. There are some one-time expenses that are in the budget that
Absolutely.
might be
yes.
appropriate, that are within operating budgets.
Yes.
So I think we probably need a further conversation with the warrant committee chair, and I know they were having a meeting last night. We were at our own meeting with the government study committee, so I haven't heard what their discussion was, but I think we probably need to do some follow-up on that. The warrant committee last year was advocating, well, maybe advocating is not the right word, but they were alerting the town last year to the fact that they thought an operating override was needed last year, and that if not last year, then there would be one needed this year. We're into January. When are we going to have the financial forecast? Is that going to be on for the 21st, or are we looking at February?
The first one in February, I believe.
Okay. So there are some things that we've been working on in that sense towards long-range planning, but, the budget, so I guess the message is the budget is not looking, aside from a free cash number, which is higher than we thought it would be, the budget is not looking very good for this year, and next year if we don't have an operating override this year, we're going to need an operating override next year. That's beyond doubt, because the last one was in fiscal '09 for the fiscal '10
Right.
budget, which at that point would have been 7 years if it's next year.
Right, which is
And
tremendous, actually, when you think about it, that we've gotten that.
It's been a long period of time, and we typically have run if you look historically, it's usually been 3 or 4 years between overrides. So
Right,
the
but
question is,
we did have funds from the
there's some federal stimulus money.
stimulus money.
Yeah, there were some,
Helped a bit, yeah.
yeah. So I think more to come on this, but the word is that the budget is not looking very good right now.
Right.
And we have requests, some of our department heads, like the police chief has requests in for 2 officers, the fire department, the council on aging has a van driver request. So there are requests for additional positions in our budgets that we're not going to be able to meet all of them, given the numbers that we're looking at currently. Maybe we'll be able to meet some of them, but that's still a maybe. And
keep in mind that stimulus money, too, it came with the same exact dire warning that I'm giving right now, that it should not be used to plug holes in your budget, because you will fall off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a dire warning that went with that stimulus money. And the same thing should go with the money we're talking about now.
And to use it for operating expenses means we don't have it
Plugging.
for things like the Affordable Housing Trust or the roads or the other one-time uses that we'd like it for.
And it won't be back again, so. it's-
Right, well, and that's the bigger issue, so let's see where the warrant committee's at in terms of looking at what their plans are for free cash, what they're looking at in terms of revenue projections. Still early in the year for that.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll take this back up at the next meeting on the 21st. All right, Town Administrator's report.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of good news. On our Chapter 90 apportionment for fiscal year 15, it was increased from $622,457 to $933,685.
Yeah, that is very good news.
So that was good news.
I guess we don't need an override.
We balanced.
That's just for the roads.
Couple more
so-
potholes fixed.
Yes. They'll make you happy,
It
Mr.
will.
Hurley.
It will, a little bit. Our shortfall is about 2 million, but
Yes.
it's get you halfway there. But
Well, every bit helps, so.
Exactly. The other piece of news I wanted to apprise the board of is the senior hall greeters have started to back to work under the senior tax work-off program.
oh, great.
So we have about 15 slots filled. We have 8 town hall greeters. We have 1 senior in the town clerk's office, 1 senior in the police department, 1 senior in the schools, 1 senior in the council on aging, and 3 in the library.
The
Emery,
town hall greeters is such a nice.
It's a
thing.
great
how long do
touch.
they work? Like, is there a certain amount of months they
They
work?
can only earn $750,
Yeah.
and they make minimum wage, so that's about 83 hours.
Because I haven't seen one here in a
Well,
while.
the program changed. It used to be on a fiscal year, July to June, and it had to change to a January to just a calendar year.
Yeah.
So that's why they're just starting now.
Oh, so this is the first year of the calendar year.
This is the first year of the implemented calendar year.
Gotcha.
So there are still slots available. If any seniors are interested in availing themselves of the Senior Tax Work-Off Program, they can contact Mary Ann Sullivan, who's the Director of Council on Aging, and her number is 617-898-4892.
Good.
Great.
But they are a great addition to Town Hall, and people love seeing them when they come. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have nothing to report tonight. Does anyone
Nothing to
have
report.
anything to report?
No, I don't think anything to report. Just on, wanted to talk just for a second about citizen speak.
Okay, we can go on to that next, but Dennis, you have nothing to report?
Nothing to
Okay.
report.
All right, citizen speak response.
I just want to, because as Mr. Joe Henning said, I was the only member on the board. He mentioned the Michael Joyce thing, and I think his recollection is not correct. I mean, we welcomed him with open arms. The issue there was we were both going down the same road at the same time. The Board of Selectmen had the thought, specifically me, of organizing a government study committee to do the same basic things. So the only conversation at that meeting was, you know, you're proposing the same thing we've been discussing. And that was about it. Otherwise, I think it was very amicable in terms of, you know, trying to get, you know, other people involved in town government. I think it's all of our goals. You know, I don't know that we do anything that doesn't reach out to, I mean, you know, and there are plenty of examples of people that are not lifelong residents of this town. We had one in here today giving a presentation, Mike Zulis, who's, you know, so there are plenty of people in town that are active in.
That's true.
And I wanted to talk on that a little bit too, if you weren't going to talk on it, Tom, but he talked about diversity in these committees. My question is, what is diversity? You know, people look at diversity as color, I think, but I believe I'm diverse. I wasn't born or raised in this town. I wasn't even born in this country, yet I'm on the Board of Selectmen. But nobody reached out to me. You know, I decided to do this. I ran for the school committee myself.
And, you know, when we did the,
But if I could,
Sure, go
you know,
ahead.
you have Leroy Walker. He's the first African-American on the school committee. Nobody reached out to him. He did it himself.
Mhm.
You know, you have Anne Marie Fagan, who's the first female town administrator.
That's right.
To me, that's all diversity. You know, I'm certainly not going to go out and beg people to come on these committees.
Right.
They can see that, you know, it's okay to have a foreign accent on the Board of Selectmen. You can join any committee you want.
Right. And the problem is, and we saw this on the master plan committee, it is so difficult in some of the communities to, for whatever reason, be it, maybe a slight language barrier, but to try and get, and how to say it, politically correct, because, the Tucker community especially, to try and get them involved in the master plan was just extremely difficult. Trying to reach out was just, they tried more and more ways.
Yeah, well, I think some of the meetings were held at Tucker to try to draw
Yes.
people in from different,
But it was very,
all around town.
It was
I remember
very
going to one of them at
difficult.
the school, but they were, East
It was
Milton,
strategically
all sides
placed
around
all
town.
around town.
Yes.
Yeah, to try to have some.
Right, but that was one of the problems we ran into.
But
was-
when I thought, I was going to say something about Mr. Johanning's comments as well, but more on the point of, he seemed to think that the discussion we had with the moderator a few weeks ago was mainly about technical changes, but it really was about more than that. It was about ways to increase communication and transparency by getting the warrant articles to town meeting members early. It wasn't just about putting articles up on the screen at town meeting and technical changes. It was really just, how do we improve the town meeting process? How do you
Right.
improve government, specifically town meetings? So, and on that note, the moderator, I know, is going to be getting a working group together. We haven't started that yet, but I was in touch with him by email a few days ago, and he's planning on setting that up within the next week or so. So some of the methods that he's planning on doing really are, it's more than just technology. It's broader than that.
Mhm.
So, anything else for citizen speak response?
That's it.
Future agenda items. Well, we're on the topic of agendas. We are meeting tomorrow night at 6:45
Yes.
to vote something for the DPW on the Blue Hills Parkway.
The Blue Hills Parkway
Contract.
contract, yes.
And then from there, we'll go at the library.
At the library.
So we'll then go to we posted that just because
Yep.
we've been invited to go to the Airplane Noise Advisory Committee meeting tomorrow night, at 7, so we posted for 6:45 just to handle this
Do that one.
contract
This
that came up
contract.
after we had already posted the notice of this meeting. And then our next meeting is on the 21st, which we have the sign review committee coming in, and we'll see, and Colleen
Okay.
Corona is available, so
Yep.
we'll have that. Do we have any other future agenda
The
items?
the only thing I'd mention, and I'm sure it's because I haven't heard it really discussed yet, but, and whether it's executive session, whether it's open session, would be to make a decision on supporting an appeal of the
40B.
the 40B, the
Randolph Ave.
1.5%. Time's running on that, so we really...
That's a zoning board decision.
It's a zoning board decision, but I think they'll look into us a little bit for at least some guidance, and I think we probably should have a discussion
I'm
on
not
it.
sure that they are,
I
actually.
heard they were, but maybe not.
Well,
The zoning board of appeals that makes the determination whether
right.
or not to file the
Right.
appeal.
We control the purse strings of legal
well, they
counsel.
have a public meeting, well, it's an executive session, but they have a public notice of a meeting posted for later on this week. They'll be meeting with town council, so
Mhm.
I guess if the question of cost arises for us, we can handle it afterwards, but we've been advised that it's within the zoning board of appeals' control, and it's not something that
Whether
we'll
they,
have
I understand, whether they bring it
much-
forward, yeah, it's up to
Yeah,
them. And there has been some misinformation about that.
there has.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so anything else? And if not, we'll adjourn do we have a motion to adjourn the
Move
selectmen's
to
meeting?
adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll convene a meeting of the trustees of the Governor Stoughton Fund. And we have a request for an extension of the due diligence period through March 6th.
Good night.
Good night. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve a request from Pulte Homes of New England LLC to extend the due diligence period through March 6, 2015.
Second?
Any discussion on the motion? Then, all in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to
Move.
adjourn?
Move to adjourn from the Governor Stoughton Fund.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.